Hi, boys and girls. So before I let you start writing your story, I wanted to go over the rubric today, and I want you to think about the rubric before you start writing your story tomorrow. So there are different ways that we are going to be grading your story. We've got level 1, level 3, level 5. So level 1, not the greatest. Level 5, really, really good. And we're going to be talking about the different categories that you're going to be graded on. So we're going to say that this is 1 point, 3 points, 5 points. And if you're in between these two, your teacher might give you 2, your teacher might give you 4. If it's not even there at all, she might give you a 0. But it's out of 5 points for each category. So the first thing we're going to talk about is organization. So in a good organization, it says that the central storyline is clear. So you've got beginning, middle, end. Strong lead, middle, and conclusion. Things happen in a logical order. They're not jumping all over the place, and they happen in a realistic place, meaning that it could really happen. There's no dragons, there's no dungeons, there's no, yeah, I know in your head you're like, well, that could really happen, but it's gotta be like almost plain realistic, like everyday life type of things. That's gonna be level 5. You're not doing so great if you have a storyline that is unclear, it's confusing, and there isn't a beginning, middle, and end. Like it just doesn't have an ending, or you just kind of jump in somewhere. It's got to be very, very clear. That's going to help you with your organization points. Character development. You're doing really good if the characters are believable and interesting. So they could be real and you would want to be friends with them. Physical, social, emotional, intellectual character traits are included. You're telling us what they look like. You're telling us how they feel about things. You're telling us how smart they are or how much they're struggling. You're including everything that we talked about in like who this character is in your story. Your reader doesn't have to guess. You as an author say, Pete was a really smart guy, but he really struggled with this. Okay, you're the narrator. You're telling your readers exactly about these characters. Okay, on the flip side, you're not doing great. If we don't know any of those things, they are flat or dull. I couldn't be friends with this person because I don't know them that well. So if you only have one of these things included, you're not doing so well. If you're missing a bunch, you're going to get more closer to a level 1. And it's unclear what the story wants. No, the character wants in this story. So in my story, I think it's pretty clear that the character, 1, wants friends, 2, wants to get his dog back, 3, I think he wants to be responsible, but he's struggling with that. So those are the things that my character wants, and I'm going to need to develop that in my story. Okay? All right, that's character development. Make it so that your reader wants to be best friends with your character. But don't just list it. It's got to be like natural. All right. I think you'll be okay with this. We've really worked hard on. We talked about up here. We did talk a lot about how he's feeling. So how does he feel? How does he respond? How has he changed? That's character development. You need to include that in on your actual story. We talked about what he looks like. You guys made his outside external traits versus his internal traits. The narrator can tell us this kid is really funny and then maybe use an example that he tells his friend Allison. So just make sure that you are including all of those things. Where am I? Too far down. Okay. Idea development. So all thoughts are clearly expressed and relevant to the story. So if you're writing a story, like for example, my story with Pete, I'm not going to start writing about a girl named Rebecca who is traveling through the sky to help him and save him. That's not what we're going for here. It's everything is relevant to the story. So you guys aren't all over the place. You're not talking about random things. You're not going off on a tangent. You're very clear. Okay. on the flip side of that, it's a loose collection of detail that may or may not be easily able to understand. So if I can't understand the problems that are going on, then we're not going to do so well with idea development. Then we've got plot, which is like your problem solution. So is there a clear sense of rising action, and then when something really bad happens, the climax, and then like a solution to that story? So you're talking about the beginning, the problem, the middle, what happens with that problem, does it get worse, does it get better, and then finally the solution. Those all need to be a part of your story, okay? If they are all there, you will get a 5. If they're not all there, but some are there, you're going to get somewhere in the middle. If there is nothing about a story, you're telling me you're writing me an essay about dogs, you're not going to get any of those points. Okay? All right. Language. This one's a big one. This is when we're talking about level 5 words here. You need to show us and not tell us about what's happening. So describe. Describe your characters, describe your setting, describe how they're feeling, your vocabulary. If you don't want to say the word nice, you want to say pleasant. You don't want to say the word boring, you want to say awful. You want to say words that are really going to get your reader's brain like, oh, I know exactly what they're talking about. Okay? You have to use precise, vivid, and natural language. Okay? Okay. And then finally, conventions. So very few spelling errors, nothing distracting, and very little editing would get you a 5. On the flip side of that, if there is spelling and capitalization and punctuation errors everywhere, we're going to struggle with that. Okay. So again, this is just a rough draft, but I do want you guys to be aware of what you're going to be graded on in the end. So this is everything we're going to be graded on when we get back from winter break. We are going to dive back more into these essays, but for right now, I want you to reread through this, and I want you to think about what you're going to write about again tomorrow. That makes sure it includes all of this. All right, now that I'm exhausted, have a lovely day, and I'm excited to start reading your stories tomorrow.